Lightning shattered the midnight sky as the celestial spirit slammed into the Lagos Billionaire. Welcome to Royal Beat Tales. If you are just seeing us for the first time, please subscribe, like, and comment for more unique stories. In the city of Lagos, as the skyline glittered with golden lights under a cloudy sky, Chief Johnson, one of the richest men in the city, stood by his bedroom window in his grand mansion on Banana Island. He was respected and admired by many, but there was something mysterious about him. He had everything money could buy: cars, servants, and a mansion so big that it looked like a palace. Yet no one truly knew how he became so wealthy, and whispers followed him wherever he went. Chief Johnson's wife had died years ago from a sudden illness when she was pregnant with their second child. This left him with their only daughter, Sophia, who was just 20 years old and the light of his life. He loved Sophia dearly and gave her everything she wanted. People see him as a caring father and a generous man. But at night, when Sophia slept, Chief Johnson often left the house in secret. He wore a large ring with a strange symbol on it, and his eyes would shine with a cold, distant look. It was clear that Chief Johnson had a dark secret hidden behind his wealth and kind smile. Everyone in Lagos would soon discover the terrifying truth about how he maintained his fortune. Late one evening, a heavily pregnant woman walked along a quiet road in the city, looking tired and worried. Chief Johnson's shiny black car rolled up beside her slowly. He offered her a warm smile and asked if she needed help getting home. Relieved and trusting, the woman got into the car, not knowing the danger that awaited her. As they drove, Chief Johnson gently touched her hand with the ring on his finger. The ring glowed faintly, and the woman's eyes suddenly became empty and distant. He drove the woman to a secluded, empty warehouse at the edge of town. Inside, candles flickered and cast spooky shadows on the walls. Under the spell of the magic ring, the woman followed him silently as if she were sleepwalking. Chief Johnson performed a dark ritual that night, one too terrible to describe, and took advantage of the pregnant woman in a wicked way to absorb her unborn child's life force for his own wealth and power. When he was done, the woman disappeared into the darkness, never to be seen again. He felt no pity or remorse. By now, this evil act had become almost routine for him. Each sacrifice made him richer, and he believed he would get away with it forever. Chief Johnson stepped out of the warehouse feeling stronger and more alive, as if he had just struck a gold mine. The city of Lagos slept unaware of the evil that had happened in the shadows. Chief Johnson continued his evil act. He had his way with so many pregnant women, and none was found, either dead or alive. A few months later, Chief Johnson found another expectant mother for his terrible ritual. This time it was a young lady who was 7 months pregnant, sitting alone at a bus stop at dusk. He lured her with kind words and promises of help, and just like before, he placed his enchanted ring on her skin. Her eyes became blank and her will vanished, controlled by his dark magic. He led her into an old abandoned house that he used for his occult practices, thinking it would be another easy night of feeding his greedy curse. Midnight arrived and the ritual began. The air was thick and heavy as Chief Johnson attempted to repeat his evil act. But this woman was different, unknown to him. Her pregnancy was protected by a powerful guardian spirit from heaven. As he started the ritual, something strange happened. The candles blew out on their own, and the temperature dropped suddenly. Boom! A loud thunder shook the building. Lightning split the sky with a fierce crack, and a blinding flash of light filled the room. In that instant, the young pregnant woman awoke from her trance and screamed, realizing the danger she was in. A mighty roar echoed as a fiery figure appeared, surrounded by flames and thunder. The guardian spirit had arrived to protect the innocent mother and child. Chief Johnson was thrown across the room by an invisible force, crashing into a wall. His magic ring, the source of his power, gleamed and went dark. He was terrified for the first time in his life. The spirit, with eyes burning like hot coals, pointed at him. Fire and lightning roamed around the spirit as it dragged Chief Johnson into a spiritual battle. Nobody knew exactly what happened in that battle, but it was like nothing a human could survive. The old house rattled with each crash of thunder. Then, as quickly as it started, the storm ended. The guardian spirit vanished along with the pregnant woman, who was carried away to safety by the mysterious power. Chief Johnson lay on the floor, burned and bruised, barely conscious. Anyone who saw the wreckage of that house would have thought he did not survive. But amazingly, Chief Johnson managed to stagger out alive, his body weak and his heart full of fear. After barely surviving that night, Chief Johnson knew he was in serious trouble. His power was beginning to fade because he failed to complete the ritual. For the first time, his businesses started having problems, deals falling apart and strange losses of money. Desperate and afraid, he returned to the secret occult temple where his dark group gathered. The temple was hidden in a forest outside Lagos, filled with carved symbols and the smell of blood and incense. There, his occult leader awaited him with angry eyes. The leader was an old man in a red robe, with a voice that sounded like a growl. "You have failed us, Johnson," the leader snarled. Chief Johnson fell to his knees and begged for another chance. He explained in a trembling voice that he couldn't find a new pregnant woman after the last incident. The spirit's attack had made him fearful and cautious. The leader became furious that Chief Johnson's fear was putting their entire group's power at risk. In a deep, harsh tone, the occult leader gave a terrible ultimatum. "You have 24 hours to find a pregnant woman for the sacrifice or face a disaster worse than death." Chief Johnson's heart pounded. He had never seen the leader so angry. He thought finding another victim on short notice would be almost impossible. Shaking, he dared to ask, "But where can I find someone so quickly?" The occult leader leaned forward and hissed something that made Chief Johnson's blood run cold. The target was his own daughter, Sophia. The leader growled, "Your daughter carries a child, does she not? Bring her. 24 hours, 24 hours. Chief Johnson's eyes widened in shock and horror. He stuttered, My daughter is not pregnant." But the leader only repeated in a thunderous voice, 24 hours. Chief Johnson left the temple with his head spinning, unable to believe what he had just heard. He drove back to the city in silence, the leader's terrible words thundering in his ears. The unthinkable choice lay before him. Early the next morning, Chief Johnson sat at the breakfast table with Sophia. His hands trembled as he lifted his coffee cup. Sophia noticed her father's strange mood and the dark circles under his eyes. With a heavy breath, he finally gathered the courage to ask the question burning in his mind. "Sophia, are you pregnant?" Sophia dropped her spoon in surprise and her cheeks flushed. She had not told anyone except her boyfriend about the pregnancy. "Daddy, how did you know?" she asked softly, shocked that her secret was out. We were going to tell you. My boyfriend and I want to get married soon," she continued, her voice nervous but hopeful. Chief Johnson's face went pale. His worst fear was true. Sophia was indeed pregnant. He forced a weak smile and patted her hand shakily, pretending to be calm. "I just had a feeling," he lied gently. Inside, his thoughts were racing. He loved his daughter dearly and would never want to hurt her. The idea of sacrificing Sophia was unthinkable, a nightmare he could hardly believe, yet the dark pact he made for his fortune was now demanding a terrible price. Sophia noticed sweat on her father's brow. "Daddy, are you okay?" she asked. Worried Chief Johnson quickly stood up and mumbled that he was fine, leaving his breakfast untouched. He rushed to his room and locked the door, holding his head in his hands. He had only 24 hours and a horrifying decision to make. In his mind, he thought of refusing the order and facing the curse's punishment, but the fear of the unknown calamity froze him. He felt completely trapped between his love for his daughter and the terrifying curse of his own making. All day, Chief Johnson searched desperately for another way to save himself without harming his daughter. He disguised himself and drove around Lagos, looking for any other pregnant woman who could take Sophia's place. He even tried approaching a stranger at a maternity clinic, but she was surrounded by family and he lost his nerve. Another time, he spotted a lone, expecting mother near a market, but the memory of the fiery spirit made his hands shake too much to use the ring. Fate was cruel and time was running out. Every passing minute felt like a hammer pounding in his chest. As the sun began to set, he realized with dread that the occult leader's demand might be the only way left. He hated himself for even considering it, but the fear of the promised calamity consumed him. By nightfall, Chief Johnson made a dark decision. He resolved to take Sophia to the occult temple. He told his daughter a lie to make her come along. He said they needed to visit a special priest for a blessing on her pregnancy, to ensure she would be safe. Sophia was hesitant at first, but she trusted her father and believed he cared for her well-being. Together, they drove out of the city. Sophia looked out of the car window as the familiar streets of Lagos gave way to a lonely road leading into the forest. Her father was silent and tense, gripping the steering wheel tightly. She had never seen him like this, but she did not know the true reason for his worry. When they arrived, the temple was quiet and ghostly. The moon was hidden behind thick clouds, and only torches showed the way inside. Sophia felt a chill and stayed close to her father. Inside the temple, no other cult members were visible. Perhaps they watched from the shadows. Chief Johnson led her to the center of the shrine, where strange symbols covered the floor and an altar stood ready. Sophia's heart pounded with unease. "Daddy, this place is scary," she whispered, her voice trembling. Chief Johnson's heart ached with guilt and sorrow, but he tried to reassure her with a forced smile. He knew he had very little time left before the 24 hours were up. Sweat rolled down his face as he raised his ring, his hands shaking violently. He prepared to perform the unthinkable ritual, fighting the urge to scream from fear and shame. In the dim light of the occult temple, Chief Johnson stood facing his confused and frightened daughter. His magic ring felt hot on his finger as he lifted it, the strange symbol gleaming. Sophia looked into her father's eyes and saw tears welling up. "Daddy, what's wrong?" she asked in a small voice. Chief Johnson's face twisted in pain. He loved her too much. As she stood there, innocent and scared, he realized he could never go through with this evil act. The thought of harming his own child was more than he could bear. The occult leader's words rang in his head. 24 hours. He knew the deadline was at hand, but he simply could not sacrifice Sophia. Sophia noticed the ring shining and stepped back, sensing danger. Chief Johnson's heart pounded like a drum. Suddenly he tore the ring from his finger and hurled it to the ground. "I can't do this," he screamed, his voice echoing through the empty temple. At that exact moment, a familiar thunderclap shook the building. It was as if the heavens themselves were angry. The same powerful guardian spirit from the previous attack that had saved the last woman exploded into the room in a burst of fire and lightning. Sophia shrieked and fell backward as the spirit's fiery light filled the hall, revealing the shocked face of her father. The spirit roared with fury at Chief Johnson. It knew all of his sins and had come to punish him once and for all. Chief Johnson fell to the floor, covering his face as a fierce wind and flames swirled around him. Sophia, now realizing her father's terrible intentions, crawled away in terror. She watched in horror from behind a pillar as the spirit towered over her father. "Please, forgive me," Chief Johnson cried out, but it was too late. The spirit of lightning and fire struck him directly, hitting him like a bolt from the sky. He felt a searing pain, as if his entire body was burning from the inside. Chief Johnson let out a terrible scream that echoed into the night. Using that moment of chaos, Sophia got up and ran out of the temple into the dark forest, tears streaming down her face. She ran and ran without looking back, escaping the nightmare her father had planned for her. The next morning, the sun rose gently over Lagos. But something was very wrong. People on a busy street gathered around a strange sight. A man with messy hair and torn, dirty clothes was wandering barefoot, talking to himself. It took a moment for some to recognize him. It was Chief Johnson, the once powerful billionaire. But he was no longer the proud, well-dressed man they knew. He looked weak and lost, as if his mind had broken. And most shocking of all, he appeared to be heavily pregnant, with a large, swollen belly like a woman about to give birth. Chief Johnson stumbled around, holding his belly and crying out like someone in great pain. Some people laughed nervously, thinking he was playing a crazy prank, but others stepped back in fear, whispering that it must be a punishment from God or a terrible curse. He begged passers-by for help, calling out random names and apologizing for sins only he knew. News of the billionaire's fate spread quickly throughout Lagos. A crowd gathered to see him, the mighty man who had fallen into madness and misery overnight. He wandered from street to street under the hot sun, and by evening he collapsed near a busy market. As he lay on the ground, some say they heard him whimpering Sophia's name and begging for forgiveness. His swollen belly glowed with an unnatural light, as if the spirits of the unborn souls he had harmed were trapped inside, tormenting him from within. In his final moments, Chief Johnson let out one last final cry of pain. Then he became still and silent. The man who had gained wealth through terrible means died with nothing, not his mind, not his dignity, and carrying a cursed burden that no man should ever carry. His tragic end was a shock to everyone. From that day on, the story of Chief Johnson became a folk tale told across the city. Some say Sophia left Lagos that very day and never looked back, determined to protect her child from her father's shadow. Parents warned their children with this tale. Evil may hide behind riches and smiles, but in the end, justice will catch up. The wealthy chief who preyed on the innocent had himself become the victim of a greater power. His demise was a lesson that the evil men do will always come back to haunt them, and so the billionaire who once slept with pregnant women to remain rich met a fate worse than death, a tragic end that no one will ever forget. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like, and comment for more unique stories.